Hello.
Hey, child, what's going on?
Oh Lord, it's the conversations with the best friend. Hi, best friend.
Hey, what's going on?
Nothing. Oh, child. Let me pull up some stuff we need. Let's pull up some
You look through my
comments.
bumper, big,
Oh, in the long black
like
limousine.
limousine. Yeah,
Welcome to the growth of the gangster. I am Carla Stillwell, the producer.
I am D. Ramon, Donte Ramon, or D. Nebby Hilliard. I'm known by many names, depending on how you know
Yes, I hope somebody joins us. I hope we're here. This is our second Conversations with Best Friend. And with the theme of our show today is contractual obligations. But before we get into all of that, please, as you can see from my banner, we talk about growth and personal healing because we've been in therapy for a long ass time, not because we're actual medical professionals. So, if you feel so moved, you should probably go to therapy because we did. Ha! All right, Donte. Also, please like, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so you know when we're about to go live. That would be dope. Thank you very much. And also, there's some collection plates. This is my collection plate. And then you can pass the collection plate for D. Nebby Hilliard. We pass the plate around here. All donations are welcome. If you enjoy what we do. All right, Donte. Let's start. Let's do our beginning of our conversation. We were talking about being black. And I thought that this would be a fitting conversation to start with, just to get, let people come around, walk in and listen. Childhood winterization when you are black. We thought about this because I think I brought it up because I was cold. It's getting cold here in Chicago. It's getting cold. All over the parts of the country that get cold. And I thought about the layers of grease that my mama used to put on me. Then I say, what was winter like for you, getting dressed as a black child?
Oh, and I'm winterizing my back porch. So my back porch looks like what I used to look like as a child. So I need to be clear. Although I'm on the East Coast, currently in the Mid-Atlantic, I was born and raised many years in the Midwest, between the St. Louis area and Chicago, particular two of those places. So we shared Chicago. We didn't know each other for some years.
That's true.
And childhood winter. Okay. So number one rule in our house was, if school is open, you going. Now, I recall a day where I saw trees that looked hundreds of years old and were bent over toward the ground. But my mom said, is school open? So that was the number one rule. Is school open? Yes, ma'am. There you go. So then you have to begin the ritual. Now, me and my sister's ritual also began with curling up near a radiator in the bathroom, pretending we were getting dressed, but we were just trying to get warm.
Yes.
But so you have, let's start with your moisturization, right? So you got to wash, and then you get slathered in an emollient of some type, depending on the kind of black family you were raised in. You might have been slathered in Vaseline. You might have been slathered in a deep conditioning lotion. You might have been, no, it usually wasn't lotion though. But you might have had shea butter in your family. I don't know. But it was usually a deep emollients. They're
Mm-hmm.
slathered in.
Mm-hmm.
And my mother was really fond of work socks, so those really thick socks like construction workers wear
Mm-hmm.
in the winter. And then there was the long john,
Mm-hmm.
right? Top and bottom.
Yes. Yes.
And again, I've been a chunky boy most of my life.
Mm-hmm.
So then you gotta squoze yourself into your pants and things because you got these multiple layers on. Because you don't have like winter clothes that have more room for the layers. That was how I was raised.
No.
So you slathered in, you have on your long johns. But and then my mother got sick of replacing gloves, so she literally sewed gloves onto elastic and ran them through the arms of our coats.
Oh yeah. I had the clippies. I had the elastic clippies. Well, I was one of these things. I didn't lose. I've always been a kid that if I lost it on purpose. Like that damn scarf. Because see, I have always been a plus size girl and a face sweater. I sweat from the face.
Did you get Vaseline?
Oh baby, full Vaseline, like petroleum. And my mother she didn't do the generic. No. It was Vaseline, it was name brand, and I got oiled and greased. Then I got layered the same way you did. And in kindergarten, I had a snowsuit. And my mother also, no matter how much she spent on the boots, didn't trust the boots. So I had plastic bags on my feet inside the boot. And a hat. And the scarf wrapped twice ways across my face. Now remember, there's a layer of Vaseline, an inch thick on my little face. And the hood of the snowsuit and mittens, not gloves.
And I'm assuming your hair is well greased.
Oh, my hair was always appropriately oiled. So as soon as we turned the corner from the house, that scarf came off. And usually by the end of the week, that particular scarf was missing because I couldn't breathe. And it was just terrible. It was terrible. It was terrible to be a black child in the winter in Chicago. It was awful. And I just, we're getting up on that time of the year. So if you are a parent, just know that your children don't get that cold.
And we had the Eskimo coats. Do you remember the Eskimo coat that zipped up from your crotch all the way past your neck and then out from your chin? So you literally were your face was in a tunnel. You had no peripheral vision.
Yes.
And I don't know, it may not be appropriate to call it an Eskimo coat anymore, but that's what we called them as children.
Listen, and then there was the winter. I took control over my life, my winter life, early. But there was the kindergarten through third grade. I was tortured by Charlene's winter clothes choices. There was the winter where I had the moon boot. Now, this is the biggest, clunkiest boot ever. And she still didn't trust the inside of it. I still had to have on socks and a plastic bag. I can't. So, yeah, please, parents, this winter, just know that the children want to breathe. Kids want to breathe.
But, I had to walk to school.
I did too. I walked 8 blocks. And now in Chicago, I grew up here when it was real winter, before climate change. So I've had frostbite walking to school. Because much like your mother, if school was open, I went to Catholic school, so sometimes school would be closed. Praise be to the Lord. But if school was open, we was walking. I walked 8 blocks. I haven't had frostbite with all of those clothes on.
I, to this day, if you drop me off at 119th in Hale right now, I can, by memory, walk to Esmond Elementary School on 111th. I remember it, not fondly.
All right, baby. Let's keep it. Let's get it moving. Let's talk about this thing that we've been talking about.
Who we talking about?
Child, we be talking about these contractual obligations. Donte, do you want to give some context to this conversation? Because we've had it many times, and I think it's very useful for people to hear this perspective.
Well, I think it often comes up in our conversations about relationships with family, and how one of the things we discovered that we have in common over the course of our friendship is that neither of us believe just because we're related to a person means that we have to be engaged with that person. Now, we had different experiences that got us there, but that is a common belief that we share. But in Black community spaces, that is sacrosanct. Like it is almost an abomination that you would say, "I don't fool with a family member," right? Like that, and particularly your immediate family, like parents and siblings. But that is something you share. I have. Well, hell, I'm not talking to one of my parents right now. So, to be honest, but that's not something I widely share with people because people, oh, that's inappropriate and da 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 da. And the thing I remember the first time we had this conversation, you just started screaming. I am not on the Real Housewives of nothing. I am not contractually obligated to spend time with nobody.
I am not. Let me tell you. So this started with me when with my father, because my father it was 7 of them. He was the second oldest, and he fucked with nobody he didn't want to fuck with. He didn't care. He didn't do it when his mother was alive. After his mother passed, he absolutely didn't do it. And me and my father had a conversation. My mama, God bless her, was an only child. And y'all only children do have some confused ideas about sibling relationships. Y'all romanticize sibling relationships. If you're an only child, but you're the parent of multiple children, please be cognizant about putting your romantic ideas about how close they're supposed to be on your kids, because they're individuals. And just because you live in the same house don't mean y'all like each other. So I didn't like my sisters. Period. The age gap was 19, 18, and 8 years. I felt put upon by my mother to be in community with them chicks. And I didn't want to be. I didn't. We were different. And I had a conversation with Raymond Davis Stillwell that changed my life. I came in the house, I was hot as fish grease. My mama had made me do something for Sharon, my sister Sharon. Rest her soul. I ain't like her from birth. We did not get on. We were oil and water. And my mother had forced me to do something for her, and I was hot, I was angry, and I was telling my father, and he said, you know, Charlie, she one of my only children. She don't understand. Let me tell you what I know. Blood is thicker than water is a lie. Blood is blood, water is water. The body needs those two things for different reasons. Just because you're related to somebody don't mean you need to mess with them. And I said, here you go. Oh my God. And that has freed me. That freed me emotionally. When my parents both passed, it was a way in which I could protect myself emotionally, and I could do my work without concerning myself or feeling obligated to fuck with nobody I didn't want to fuck with.
And I think there's something in there too about boundaries, right? Like, which is not a concept that was introduced to me in childhood. That is very much an adulthood concept. And there, literally, in my nuclear family, and I just want to be really clear, I have 2 brothers, I have a sister, and I have a mother and a father who are alive. And it's not one of those people I named that there have not been years where I did not fool with them. Not one of them. Because what I have grown into as an adult is that it is perfectly okay to have boundaries.
Oh, yes.
And if a person cannot operate inside of those boundaries, I don't even have to demonize you. I don't have to make you the devil. I don't have to make you all sources of wrong to not know that I can't fuck with you. And that has happened multiple times. If you cannot, again, whether it was me coming out as a Black gay man in my early 20s, or other decisions I made that people didn't like, or some sibling drama, whatever it might happen to have been. But what I'm very clear about is I don't have to deal with nobody but me and me. Because I was going to say me and God, but I am God. So, hey, and God is me. So, yeah, I just learned that it's okay to have boundaries, but that is not a very popular conversation.
It's not.
In our age group, particularly.
And I have boundaries around. There is a human being walking this earth that I loathe. If you know me, you know who I'm talking about because I make it plain. I can't stand that bro. I can't. I truly think that person is demonic. I think she's been possessed by Satan. She is evil. Nobody can tell me. Like one of my theater kids was like, "Mother, I that's a friend of mine. Please don't talk about her." I said, "If that's a friend of yours, you stop listening, because I'm always gonna call that hoe. I hate her." And people over the years have tried to force me into community with this person. This person tried to force me into community with them, knowing I hate them. Because I can be in a room with that broad, I don't say nothing. Oh, it's so childish not to say hello. No, what's childish is the fact that you're trying to bully me into saying hello. What's childish is the fact that you people are trying to shame me into being a part of a community that makes me uncomfortable.
And the part of this obligatory stuff, another place that shows up, at least in my family, is around death.
Oh God.
Right? And so, my mother comes from a very large family, over 15 of them. For most of their life, they were raised by their father. And in adulthood, everyone decided my grandfather was just wrong. Now, no one can tell a story of anything wrong that ever happened to them other than they were the only people they knew that wasn't on welfare. They were the only Black people they knew that had a housekeeper. And that who lived in the house that they owned, so most of my mother's siblings, when my grandfather passed, hadn't spoken to him in years, but came and sat shiver at the hospital waiting for him to die. And old people laying out and hollering, "Oh my Lord!" Ah! And again, I know that relationships are complicated. I know that how we feel emotionally about our relations it's not linear. But if you wasn't fooling with somebody while they walked here, See, this always takes me back to that scene from Imitation of Life
Ooh,
when that girl show up at the funeral and throw herself on the coffin, and I want to harm her because I'm like, all that woman ever did was try to love you and support you and be there for you, and you caused her great pain. So ashamed of your dark-skinned black mother who was a maid, who wouldn't let you pretend that you were white. And then you want to come and throw yourself on the casket. I really want the woman to pop up and just pop her. Like because you tell us we're contractually obligated to fool with each other, but we really don't practice that. We just create the image of it.
yeah, it's all of these unspoken rules around what is proper. Oh, don't speak ill of the dead. Let me tell you something. I have 2 dead sisters, Robin, Denise, and Sharon Raylene. In life, Robin and I had our moments, but for the most part, that was my love. She was like a second mother to me when I was very little. She was so much older. She took very good care of me. I have 98% beautiful, fond memories of her. I couldn't stand Sharon. Sharon was the most despicable human being that walked this earth. Sharon was problematic. Sharon was selfish. Sharon was all kinds of things in this life. And I don't feel like I can't say that because that's true.
It's true.
It was not my opinion, because on her deathbed, she apologized to me for all of the harm she had caused me in this life. So she knew she was raggedy. She knew she was problematic. She didn't blame me for the 5 years I didn't speak to her. But see, here's what real obligation is. I hadn't spoken to her for 5 years until she was dying and needed someone to care for her. Then I showed up. I didn't show up after she was dead, laying in the floor, playing these games, because of my obligation to my parents. That I honored. I was not going to let my biological sister die alone. But I was not going to fuck with her in life because she was problematic. And I certainly wasn't going to allow her and her demonic spirit to unsettle my peace, because I worked hard for my peace.
You know, because the thing that I like to say about relationships, it's like, whatever it is that we are, whatever it is that we do, it is not something that you're owed, right? It is something that I offer because it enhances me.
I could not have lived with myself if I had not gone to care for my sister in that time of her life, at her end of life. I would have been disgusted with myself in that moment because of my relationship with my value system.
But that don't mean that, well, once you heard she was sick, you just like, oh, I just let it go. It's all gone. It's all in the past. No.
I never let it go. Literally, I let it. The reason I let it go was because she apologized. And I've said this to you, Donte. A lot of people have had to come back my way and say sorry. And nobody's done it better than Sharon.
Well, you know, as we say, if you don't begin with "I'm an N-word" speech, I can't hear you.
And that was the only apology in all of the apologies I've gotten, because I've gotten a few, that somebody started with, I am an absolute cretin. I am ridiculous. I did you dirty, and I ain't got no excuse for it.
And it doesn't matter how long we've been in relationship. It doesn't matter. People like, but I've invested so much time or this, that, and the other. My question is, does this situation work for you? Because if it does not work for you, that's the only reason you need to get out of it. You don't need evidence. You ain't got to go looking for if your man, woman, or partner is cheating. You ain't gotta go figure out if your best friend is best friend and somebody else behind your back. Is the situation working for you? The only obligation you have is to be a better version of yourself every day. That's the only obligation you got. And sometimes in order to meet that obligation, you got to leave some people where they are. You may circle back around to them,
and that is
then
not,
you got to leave them there.
and that is not a bad thing. That doesn't mean that they're bad people. I had a roommate. I could get into the minutia, the little irritating things that went on with this person, and I could go on and on daily about that person. But at the end of the day, my only problem is I ain't want to live with nobody. I didn't want to live with anybody. At the end of the day, that was the only issue. At the end of the day, that was it.
It wasn't working for you.
It was not, the situation wasn't working for me. It could have been a whole alien living in that house with me. And I would have had the same grievances because I didn't want to live with anybody. It wasn't about them. And that, this person has said to me, what happened with us? Because I still speak to them. I'm not angry. And I had to explain to them, I was never mad at you. I just didn't want to live in a house with you because I didn't want to live in a house with anybody. I needed that situation to end, and I couldn't allow what they needed to trump my peace, trump what I need.
Right.
I could, and I don't think it, and I think that we don't, as human beings, especially in America, especially in Black communities, we have been conditioned that it is your job to make everybody around you comfortable at the expense of your comfort and your peace, especially Black women. Like, it's our job to be nice, talk to people we don't want to talk to, go to the family reunion when we hate these mofos. One of my father's sisters, one of the last ones that's alive, just passed recently. And my cousin, one of the cousins I speak to, was like, hey, so-and-so passed. I was like, oh, okay. I'm not mad. I didn't hate her. She was actually one of my father's sisters that she's the first child. This is my auntie that took me to the first Pentecostal service I ever went to.
Where out of began issues of living water.
So I've told you, slight tangent. I've told you about my first Baptist church.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Yeah, that was the death. That was the funeral. My first Pentecostal service was 2 years later when I was 12.
Okay.
And the praise and worship got to the point where the girl was giving testimony and she was beating the chair. And she was down and she was beating the chair. And then she just picked it up and threw it into the crowd.
Yeah.
Oh God. But and that was a good time to me. I was like, come on. Well, because I had been warmed up with the Baptist, that's when this is auntie, it's one of the younger aunts, is the one that sparked my interest in other people's religion. I was like, this is even worse than the 12 praise dances. What's going on? So yeah, but it's like, why? What? You didn't go to the funeral? Why? I didn't have a relationship with that woman. I knew who she was. I wasn't angry with her. I wasn't mad. I didn't have a relationship with her.
And I think we have to be really clear with ourselves. Having boundaries that may not allow us to engage with a person, also does not mean that you don't love that person. You know, as you know, sort of in the middle of the pandemic, I had a partner who got lost in a cycle of childhood trauma and addiction to methamphetamine. To this day, I care deeply for him. But I know enough to know, until you are willing to address the root. Because, and let me be clear, the drug use was not the problem. The problem was he was rejected by his mama, he was biracial, and he never addressed that hurt that he has from feeling that his mother chose a man over him. That's what the real problem is. The drug use is just a way to numb the pain.
And how fair is it to you as the individual to try and be in community with someone who is not healed? Like, how do you're not serving yourself? This is a whole, like, there's no oxygen mask in this situation. I'm taking off my mask trying to put it on you.
Yeah.
Like,
and
it's
I grew up seeing that with adults. Like, I saw, particularly around alcohol usage.
Yes.
So I saw it as a child. But to be the person who gets a random phone call from the person tripping, or the paranoid phone calls, or I'm somewhere, I don't know where I am, and I need you to get me home. Like, how much of that can you do without also harming yourself?
Right.
You know, and as a clergy person, boundaries can be really difficult. It can be really difficult because you want everyone to be whole and everyone to be safe, and you want to believe, because that's the seduction of ministry. Many people who say they're called to ministry are really people who need to be needed. So they are drawn to ministry, much like the insecure to performance, right? Because they want something that approximates love and affirmation. You know? And I was just like, at some point, yes, I care for you. And if that person called me right now and said, I need you to take me to this treatment center, I would absolutely do that.
I will take you. I will take you to help yourself. Like, you know, that was my sister Sharon was an alcoholic. That was part of the issue. Our father was an abusive alcoholic, and it was like, you know, it's layers with your parents, but I'm not doing this with you because we've been traumatized in the same way by this issue. And if you're leaning into it, I can't do this twice. I did it with my father. My father got sober, and you know that ended. I'm not going to keep doing it. I can't be on this hamster wheel. You know, that was part of our issue because she was so much older than me. So she was in her cups and her addiction my whole life.
Yeah. But I do think we should warn people what happens when you draw boundaries.
Come on.
Because when you draw boundaries and you honor yourself by honoring your boundaries, you're going to be called a bitch, mean, nasty, ornery, curmudgeon, all these terms that say that the problem is you.
Oh, the one I get often is I'm so selfish. I'm so selfish, so self-centered. I'm so selfish. And And coming from some people, yes. Yes, I am.
Can we reclaim selfishness as a life-affirming reality?
I am doing it right now. In this moment, yes. I am selfish.
If we weren't selfish as infants, we would be dead.
You know who like my cats? Like frickin' Frack. Frickin' Frack are selfish. Frickin' Frack don't care what time it is. If there's no food in their food bowl and water in their water bowl, they are gonna come and wake me up like this with their little paw. Because I'm the person that takes care of them.
And there's something that they need to be, to exist.
And what I need to exist is peace. I need peace. And that's different for people. You know, some people feed off, like you were saying with clergy people. Some people feed off of the chaos and the family and all of that. All of those different energies are a nice distraction for people, so they don't have to think about their own mess.
Exactly.
But you know, when you start just doing this work, it's like you got to keep the noise out. You have to keep the noise out. And some people, again, lovely human beings, but they're energy vampires.
And the truth is, there is no person that's ever accomplished anything in this life that did so without having some boundaries. I said I wanted a PhD. Well, so I went to grad school. You know what? So while other 20-somethings was running around living La Vida Loca, I was staying up to 5, 6 and reading multi-100-page tomes of dead white philosophers. But you know, because this was a choice that I made for my life, and I was willing to pay that price. That was a boundary. So people are like, oh, you so boring, you so this. Okay, but this is my boundary that I have set for myself to achieve a goal that is important to me. That clubs still exist.
Well, do you know why? You know why I'm not a member of the Divine Nine? I am not a Delta. Because I could not be kidnapped and taken from my mama's house. I lived at home. And
nobody does that, Carla Stillwell.
Oh, yeah, but you know no more. They was recruiting me back when hazing still happened. Okay? And I also was in theater. And I had rehearsal, and that was important to me. And having that career was more important to me than that community.
Yeah. My mother had a similar story. She wanted to play. I basically grew up on the college campus. My mother had me when she was 16. So she wanted to pledge, but she had a child at home. And she was like, I can't do all of this other stuff. So I guess I can't play. You know, like it was just like, well, it's something she didn't want. But again, because of the boundary she had already set around her life, she chose that she would have a child, that she was going to raise it and parent it. And that meant there was some things that her contemporaries could do that she could not.
And that's okay. Yeah. And it's okay. So before we move on to close out our show, 2 things that we have said today that are important. We are boundaries are good. We must have boundaries around us. Those boundaries will alienate certain people from you. And that's the good thing. If somebody stops fucking with you because of something you need for your own peace, that's good. That's good. Don't change up and try to make room so they'll mess with you again. No. You've done the right thing. Deuces. The other thing we have said clearly is we are reclaiming selfishness. We are redefining, well, not redefining, because the definition is not, we put a lot of negative connotations on things that are not negative.
Mm-hmm.
You being selfish, you being self-centered, self-focused is good.
It's necessary
for your physical and mental health. The marathon was Monday. The Chicago Marathon was Monday. All of those people that ran that marathon have selfishly prioritized that training.
Mm-hmm.
They set boundaries for themselves around what they were eating, what they couldn't, where they could go, how much they could drink. What they created a space in their life just for this thing.
Sis, I think you met me right after I did the Chicago. I was running on the lake part.
I met you right after you did your Chicago, right before you did the one in Dallas.
Yeah, so you met me when I was running 13 miles on Lake Michigan in December because I had made a choice.
And it's a positive thing. That selfishness, you were in great shape. Your health was where you wanted it to be. Your spirit was where you wanted it to be. You were focused on something that was important. That's not a bad thing.
Yeah.
It's not.
If it's what you want. It's only a problem if you're doing it for some other reason than your own health, wellness, and prosperity.
Baby. So this is it. We setting boundaries. We're leaning into our self-care, and we are not obliged. I swear to God, I say it all the time. I ain't on the Real Housewives of shit. I am not contractually obligated to fuck with nobody. I watch the Housewives shows, all of them, because it's fascinating to me. Like I have to come sit and look at this hoe, and just for this check. I don't think I could do it.
I wouldn't last.
I would have been eviscerated some of these broads. I'm like, you ain't cussing this bitch. And then I gotta go overseas with you. I gotta take a trip. It's fascinating to me because I can't imagine being forced into community. Because at this point in my life, I'll quit a job.
I did.
Somebody all up in my cheek, I'm quitting. I'm dead ass quitting this job, period. End of discussion. Look, all right, listen. Before we go, I want to touch a few points.
Oh Lord, are we sending someone to the Isle of Misfit Negroes this week?
And this hurts me to say it. I don't even want to talk about it. I don't want to spend no time on it. Kanye West. Negro, please. Do you know about
which part? The school?
Do you know about the t-shirts?
No, I just heard about the school.
Well, this is the part that I can't.
Okay.
So, Mr. West was running around Fashion Week with White Lives Matter t-shirts on. Because his commentary around this t-shirt is some dribble about how, if you flip it, white people will be extinct and are becoming extinct, and they're going to be the minority. And then will they have to say White Lives Matter? And will they be oppressed in the future? Where all of fashion has said, go sit down. Go think about your life. He's been remanded to the fashion corner. Go sit your ass down somewhere. So Kanye's, I've been trying to save him because to send him to the Isle of Misfit Negroes, send several albums that I quite enjoy. And I've been trying to keep him off the island. I mean, I didn't even really want to send him with the MAGA hat. I thought it was a stunt. You know, I was trying with Yeezy.
But see, you extended him grace because y'all shared living through the death of a mama.
Yes. And I extended him grace because I know him. Like, literally, Kanye grew up like 5 blocks away from where I grew up. Like, I know him. I know from whence a lot of his stuff comes. You know, I know the root of some of it. I get it. So I tried. But Kanye is officially banished to the Isle of Misfit Negroes.
Another one bites the dust.
Okay.
We didn't do more than 8 bars, right?
Yeah, no, we didn't. It was the Simon dance.
You see, we both because we professional.
We established the beat and then we wrote it. You know, that's something else that does not happen anymore. Wait a minute. Ain't nobody riding the beat. People don't just ride the beat. They don't just establish and then take it. That doesn't happen. I feel like that's something that is problematic. Are we disagreeing about anything this week? I don't even think we disagree.
We got a disagreement this week.
No, we don't have no disagreement this week. We can just move on to. And the category is.
Come on. Do we both have 10s to give this week?
I have 10. I have a 10 to give. Do you have a 10 to give?
I do. You want to go first?
I will go
or you
first.
Want me to go?
No, I will go first. Okay. Because my 10s go to newly minted Justice Ketanji Jackson Brown. Bebe. Ketanji got up on the Supreme Court benches and read those motherfuckers for filth. The Congressional Library was open, and she turned to the page of the 14th Amendment of the Constitution of the United States. Because somebody was presenting one of these voter laws, one of these voter cases were in front, because they trying to suppress all the black people's votes again. And somebody stepped up and said that race had nothing to do with whatever. I don't even remember the details of the stupid case. But Ketanji was like, so the framers wrote the 14th Amendment with race in mind. It was written specifically to bring balance and fairness to voters' rights because of slavery. Because there was a whole group of people here that were marginalized. And then she dropped the mic, and people have been playing her clip. If you go online, if you Google it, you can hear her read them for filth. And I'm fairly certain Clarence Thomas died. I'm fairly certain he lost all. He's a hologram now. I think that probably took him out. I believe it. So that's my 10s. And Cousin Ketanji might be getting 10s every week from me, because she just done walked up. And I like Sotomayor. She give it to him sometimes. She get a little spicy with him sometimes. But since Mother Beta Ginsburg left, ain't nobody just been reading the girls for filth on the court.
Ketanji's gonna read the children?
Well, she already did. She was there a week, and she read the girls. And now, she read them so deeply, it's viral. Okay? So Ketanji, she's gonna give us that Ruth Bader Ginsburg energy that we've been missing, because somebody needs to read the girls. So she's read the girls. So that is mine this week. She gets 10s.
Well, we should have known when she gave that eye roll during her vetting process. We should have known that that some more was to come.
Oh, baby.
So my tens this week is for, you know, a lesser known Black woman, perhaps, who, despite the fact that I know this is going to inflate her head and her ego 1,000 times,
Okay.
I'm offering tens to my wife, my best friend, Carla Stillwell, who is now, we have to add an epithet to her. She is now the Emmy-nominated producer, Carla Stillwell. So tens across the board to La Stillwell.
Yes, yes.
Is more almost famous than she has been all the time.
Listen, I didn't know I could get no more famous than I was in my head. But now she has an Emmy nomination. Please, 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 if you get the opportunity, it is called the Lost Story of Emmett Till, Trial in the Delta. It is on Peacock. I was one of the producers on there, and we are now Emmy nominated. And yeah, so thank you, best friend.
Did you want to give them a little more about the?
So I mean, it's so the trial transcript for the of the men that murdered Emmett Till was lost for 50 years. It was in I think the defense attorney's house somewhere, like the court stenographer
they always do.
Right. So they hid this thing. So some young reporter, like I think it was a student from Northwestern, something like that. I think so. Went and interviewed the defense attorney. Took him a bottle of whiskey. They get drunk. Attorney goes, "You want to see the transcript? I got it right here." And this transcript finds its way into the hands of NBC 5 reporter Marion Brooks. And Marion is talking to her other colleague, Leanne Trotter. Both of these Black women on television in Chicago, they're Chicago famous. And she's like, "I got this transcript. I think it needs to be I think it needs reenactments. I think it needs to be seen. I think people need to do this. Like, what theater company should I reach out to?" And Leanne is a friend of Collaboration, which is one of my sister organizations where I do a lot of work. And Leanne was like, "Well, you should call Anthony. I'll put y'all in Community." Boop, boop, boop. And fast forward about 6 months, we did the two of our playwrights with the company rewrote, whittled down. It's like 394 pages, the transcript. They whittled it and condensed it and shaped it into a 90-page script, and we shot it with 3 cameras at NBC and edited it and interspersed it with a lot of the documentary footage, and that was a thing.
And your category is short form documentary or long form documentary?
Child, I'm gonna have to put it in the description after this. I don't be remembering this stuff because it's nice to have this honor, but that's not why I do the work.
Have to make sure it's on her gravestone if she has.
Listen, I'm sick of him already. We've been talking. I've talked to him long enough. Please subscribe. Subscribe to the channel. Like this video. Hit the notification bell. Come on. Come back. Spend some time with us. We'll be back again. We'll be more consistent. Won't we, best friend?
We will do something appropriate and regular.
Okay. Alrighty. Good night.
Bye, everybody. Peace. Stay black, stay moisturized, stay hydrated.